What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with MoneyVest. Welcome on board for our market open on a Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. This is going to be a long weekend and a shorter trading week for the markets because in observance of 4th of July, the Independence Day, the markets are indeed going to close a little bit early on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So right now, pre-market, we are doing good. Everything is higher. We've got Nvidia back up to over 158.70. We got SoFi trading at 17.70. It's up another 3%, trading at just shy of $18 per share. We got Palantir also rallying a little bit pre-market, up over 4.7%. And then we've got Hims and Hers also flying at pre-market, up almost 3%. So a lot of these stocks absolutely carrying that momentum from last week. As you can clearly see, pre-market got Hims, which is the leveraged 2x ETF, up over 6%. Palantir is up 4.7%. We got Hims up over 3%. SoFi is up 3%. Google is up 2%, now trading well over $181, $182 right now. We've got TQQQ up 1.8, BITX 1.5. We got Nvidia, VUG, all of them pushing up over 60, 70, 80 basis points here pre-market. So hope you all are doing great and welcome. I'm going to do a quick live stream. It's not going to be a super long one because I've also got to trade and make a lot of decisions with the options portfolio. So we're gonna be here for a little bit until market open. We're gonna discuss some trades that I'm considering, some positions. And then, of course, we will call it there. And then we'll jump into the Discord and share some updates over there. No, you couldn't stay away. Good morning, everyone. And this is the state of the portfolio right now. The overall year-to-date gains crossing just $61,000, shy of $61,000 here. Of course, I've got the Hims position. I've got the Nvidia, SoFi, Tesla, and, of course, TSLL. TSLL I will close most likely this week, because a lot of them expire this week. I've got the Nvidia calls at 160 expiring this week. Then I've got the Hims calls at $51 expiring this week as well. We're just shy of $51 right now. I don't know. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to roll out or not. And then, of course, I've got the TSLL puts expiring at on this week as well. So Friday is the expiration. So once again, thank you so much for joining, everyone. Welcome. Volatility is slightly higher. It's up over 4.7%, so trading back up to over 17. And again, we've talked about how low the VIX is, trading down too. So something that we need to be careful and more cautious about. With Bitcoin trading back over 107, almost at $108,000, and crude oil sitting at just over $65 a barrel at the moment as well. So yeah, that's where we are. Is Nvidia going to get up to 160? Is SoFi going to get up to $18? Is Hims going to break out over $51, $52? There's a lot of questions. Is Palantir going to break back about 140? And is Tesla going to muster the courage to actually be green? The last entire couple days have been pretty brutal for Tesla. So if you come take a look, last week for Tesla, we were basically flat. And then the week before that, we were down about 1%. So the last couple of weeks, Tesla hasn't really gone anywhere despite the successful launch of the robotaxi. And it's really just been consolidating sideways in that range between that support of 315, 316, and of course a resistance at 333, 334 for Tesla. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Just give me a thumbs up if the audio and the video is working well. Hopefully there are no technical issues, no problems there. What do you think about Google short term? So Google, from a short term perspective, I think the next resistance is going to be all the way up to 183. That's the level to watch. And a support right now is going to stay put at 176 since we are trading back above that level. So that is going to be an area of support. And of course, a resistance up to as much as 183, 184 for Google. And really the bottom line is that we are trading in a very nice uptrend for Google. So this is the overall uptrending channel of higher lows. And this is going to be some kind of higher highs for Google. So this is the overall uptrend of higher highs and higher lows. So the overall pattern is very strong for Google at the moment. Okay, hey Caddy, for Nvidia and SoFi, do you think it's time to sell part of the position in order to raise some cash? Raise some cash, like 30% of my position. So it really depends on what your long-term objective is. If you are trading these stocks, if you're simply taking swing trades on these positions, then sure, you could take profit and start to raise more capital for that next opportunity. But if you are investing in these companies for the long term, right, if those positions are more meant so for, say, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years out, because look, there is a lot of potential growth. And NVIDIA and SoFi are two completely different companies, right? I would argue SoFi has more upside long term than NVIDIA, given that it's already at a $4 trillion market cap. Now, I posted a video over the weekend, and some of the comments that came in that sell away all you want, but I'm going to continue to buy NVIDIA. And everyone's going to be different in terms of their perspective and opinions on every company. I totally understand that. But my main question was that NVIDIA is already a $4 trillion market cap, right? How much more upside are we expecting from NVIDIA, say, 5 years from now or 7 years or 10 years from now? I believe personally that there's a lot of other stocks that can more than double and triple in terms of their growth, right? Because they might be sitting at a 30, 40, 50 billion, 100 billion, 200 billion. Heck, I even believe that Palantir over the next 5 years go from like a 300 billion to 500 or 600 billion dollar market cap. That's over 100% return versus something like NVIDIA. For NVIDIA to go to 100% return, it has to go from 4 trillion to an $8 trillion market cap, which is incredibly challenging. I mean, where are we going to find that kind of money for that much demand for NVIDIA to come in with 100% gain, right? So it is a lot about, having that understanding as well, that yes, while we do believe that these are very strong companies, this is a company that's worth holding over the long term, is going to be very successful in artificial intelligence. To what extent has that already been priced in? And for NVIDIA to be a 10 bagger now, it has to go from a $4 to $40 trillion market cap, which would just be insanity, and would take, I don't know, God knows how long. So it's just about opportunity cost. And so if my capital is tied into NVIDIA, what is my expected return over the next 3, 4, 5 years versus if I were to reallocate that into something like SoFi or HIMS or Palantir, do I actually expect better returns? Do I expect more growth or the same or worse than NVIDIA? So that's what we have to look at from an opportunity cost standpoint. And there's nothing wrong with investing in already established companies such as NVIDIA or Microsoft or Google, and they're going to get you good returns. But if you're in it for the good returns, so the way I look at it is if you're in it for the average returns, invest in the S&P 500. If you're in it for the good returns, invest in good companies that are already established, that have the potential to keep growing. But if you want great returns, then you have to take on a little bit more risk and, of course, go with companies that have that growth potential over the next several years. So, obviously, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Apple, these are somewhat lower on the risk curve, but then also somewhat lower on the return spectrum. But companies like, SoFi or HIMS or Palantir are arguably and even more leveraged positions, again, that's going really high on the risk curve, are going to offer better returns. But then, of course, you're taking on more risk with something that is inherently more risky, I guess. So there's always that trade-off. Which would be a better stock to start a position new, long-term, HIMS, Hood, Palantir, AMD, or SoFi? Okay, there's a lot of stocks there. The best stock to start a position in right now for the long term is the one that you believe in the most, right? So my answer to that question will always be very, very investor specific, where if you are spending even 30 minutes doing basic research and analysis on the companies that you are looking at, and you take 6 stocks, you take the weekend, you take 6 stocks, and you spend 15, 20, max 30 minutes on those companies, that's 3 hours a weekend. You can analyze 6 companies. You can actually get a pretty good idea of what they do, what their moat is, what their financials look like, and what their future growth expected look like, and then come up with a very good rationale behind which companies you want to do more research on, which companies you feel more confident on, and which companies you actually feel like you have a high conviction. Because, oftentimes I always remind investors that, okay, I can be confident on one stock, but that confidence level does not pass over to you, right? When things get tough, when the stock drops 30%, we're going to have very different reactions to that drop, right? If someone who's confident is going to be looking at that as a buying opportunity, is going to be dollar cost averaging, versus somebody who's never heard of that company, but never researched about that company, they might panic sell and they're like, okay, I'm done with investing now. So that's why it's really important. If you're putting your hard-earned money into any company, any stock, you do more research on it, you learn about that business, you develop some conviction into that company so you don't fold when times get tough, because there will be tough times. Just because everything is working out right now, things are at all-time high, things are working out. I always have to remind people that, okay, this is not going to last forever. It's all inevitable that it's going to get a bit of a pullback or correction or a dip. We're going to get that volatility spike. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We just don't know when. But we just have to be prepared. We just have to be ready for it. So, okay, let's see. What are my thoughts on TSMC? Dropped to 226 pre-market, but from my research, it's currently a hard buy with evaluation of the stock being about 260. So TSMC I really like. I think a lot of semiconductor stocks I'm going to continue to buy and hold. That's why I've got the SMH ETF, which is at an all-time high now, $280. So huge congratulations to people who are holding SMH as well as VUG. VUG also hitting a brand new all-time high at 439. But question to TSMC, I think this is a stock that is long-term winner. Of course, everything is just moved up in a straight line. So overbought right now on the R side, the MACD. So there's got to be a little bit more careful and cautious with these at the moment. So short-term pullback dips are possible, but long-term, I believe TSMC, ASML, NVIDIA, AMD are all great companies, in my opinion. Arista Networks, Lam Research. There's just been a lot of them, semiconductor-wise, that we have on our shopping list. So, what's my thoughts on Novo Nordisk long-term? So, NVO has had a tough year. It's down quite a bit year to date, but it's not the first time, and I don't think it's going to be the last time either. I do believe that we're starting to see some signs of progress. I mean, it's still within the context of a lower high and a lower low pattern. And so the breakout that I'm really waiting for is $80. I think $80 is going to be a very critical level that Novo Nordisk needs to break out of before we start to see some momentum back higher. So year to date, the stock's down. Fundamentally, I think it's still pretty strong. It's down over 22%. So this is a stock that I'm certainly looking into from a long-term perspective as well, given that it's got an insane chart. I mean, just take a look at this. Absolutely incredible. And this is, like I said, not the first time that we've seen a sell-off like this. It's happened many times before because it's in the biotech space and it's in the health, and industry. So there's always going to be these periods where the stock is going to suffer and it's going to be volatile. And we've seen that in the past. So, but every single time it's bounced back really well. Is this time around going to be anything different, or is it going to be something similar? Of course, time will tell, but I remain confident in Novo Nordisk for the long term. Okay, quantum stocks, not really. I haven't looked into those as much as I would like to, so we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on those. But right now, my focus very much for this week at least is going to be on HIMS, which is already pushing up past $51 per share right now. And then, of course, we'll also be looking at Palantir and SoFi and Tesla, NVIDIA, of course, all the fan favorite stocks that you guys know about. So now HIMS is in the money as well. It just got in the money. So we'll see how it trades rest of the day. If I need to roll my calls, I might. See how much margin of safety, how much leverage I can build on top of my existing position, because I did pick up 100 shares at $49.50 last week on Friday. So we'll see how high HIMS can get up to, and then how much do I need to really consider rolling those options. A lot of them will get in the money. Tesla's in the money, NVIDIA's in the money, HIMS is in the money now. SoFi is most likely going to get in the money, $18 calls. It's not that far off. It's $17.70 right now pre-market. So I'm really just in the process of raising cash, right? So if these shares get called away, that's totally fine. I'm going to be locking in profit, collecting my premiums, and then getting ready for the next opportunities, the next set of opportunities if the volatility does spike again, which, like I said, eventually it will. We just don't know when, but it will. So, yeah, hope you all are doing great. We got over 300 people watching. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Really appreciate it. I'm going to be live for maybe another 7 to 10 minutes, but then I'm going to be focused on trading, putting on my headphones, and then sending out alerts and closing positions, rolling positions if I need to. But yeah, hope you all had a great weekend. This is a short trading week. Thursday, markets are going to close at 1 p.m. Eastern in observance of 4th of July. Speaking of 4th of July, we do have our 4th of July sale still going on. If you want to join our community, there is an additional 10% discount, which brings the total up to 40%. So if you want 40% off on memberships, there is going to be that available until 4th of July. And of course, individual courses are also 50% off. Coupon code is going to be July 4 if you want to take advantage of that as well. Options trading, psychology of investing, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, members only videos, stocks and personal finance, spreadsheets, PDFs, everything available, as well as our Discord as well. What is my confidence level in Amazon? What do you think about building a position in Amazon by buying every month, just purely adding it to it and keeping for years to come? So Amazon, I'm very bullish. Amazon, I think, has tremendous potential. And, to be honest, like, I was originally one of the ones calling for advertising as being the biggest growth engine for Amazon. And advertising has grown for Amazon tremendously over the last couple of years, so much so that it's taken on YouTube and even Meta advertising, with a storm. Like, it is now worth more in terms of revenue generation than compared to YouTube. And I think that's a huge market for Amazon, apart from the, AWS and, of course, e-commerce, which is lower margin, but still growing really well. And I do believe Amazon could be one of the first companies to generate over $1 trillion in revenue, in the next 2 to 3 years. So I like Amazon long-term. We'll consider dollar cost average if it gives us the opportunity to, which is, again, going to be at those fair values and light buys and heavy buys. Buying it every month at a specific price and dollar cost averaging that way on an individual stock, I think if you have the opportunity, I would certainly look for better deals. Like, for example, if Amazon's trading at a light buy or heavy buy, that, in my opinion, would warrant a more aggressive approach than as opposed to if it's trading at an all-time high, super expensive valuation, then you don't want to be dumping dollars into something that's already priced pretty expensively. So it's just like, if you were applying that approach to Palantir, you would be buying every week or every month, and you'd be paying $120, $130, $140 per share at those current prices, which arguably is not even arguably, like, heck, I just say it, it's a very overvalued, right? I mean, Palantir is a very expensive stock. So, it's a great company, but maybe having a different approach to building a position into it, I guess. Any hope for Apple? I want to really ask everybody else. Like, we've got 300 people watching. Any hope for Apple? What do you guys think? I want to know what everyone else thinks for Apple right now. Apple's had a significant underperformance, over the last several weeks and months. Year to date, it's down over 20%. It's still in a bear market, which is very odd. It's very unusual to see that from Apple, down over 22%. So, Thomas, hey, Caddy, thank you so much for your diligent work in educating us in the market. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and glad you're finding this helpful and educational. And again, if you want more analysis, more insights, more of us and our community, link's going to be down below if you're interested in joining our Discord for everyone who is interested. So, Apple to 225 soon. Wait year says, let it come down. Yeah, I mean, Apple's been an interesting stock this year, right? I mean, it's been clearly a huge underperformer. And, oftentimes you kind of think that, it's like one of those things where you've got a team, right? And you've got one star player. And then that one star player gets injured. And then people think that, oh man, that star player's injured. Like the team's never going to recover. The team's never going to be able to succeed. And then the team goes on by winning the trophy or winning the tournament without the star player. And that's really what's happened is markets traded back up to all-time highs without the help of Apple, without any help from Apple, literally. And Apple used to be one of those companies in the past which used to move the market. Like a lot of market's momentum and market direction used to depend on Apple quite substantially. But other stocks have really taken up. I mean, Microsoft and Nvidia are two of the main companies that have resulted in this huge rally to all-time highs because combined, these companies are worth almost $8 trillion, right? 8 between Nvidia and Microsoft, sorry. So that's a pretty big deal. But okay, markets are open here. SoFi 1770. Nvidia is now rolling over. It is flat on the day. HIM's also up 2%, but pulling back below $51 here. So we'll see how this portfolio looks like. We just crossed over 60,000 year-to-date gains here. So pretty happy about that. And of course, open P&L sitting at just shy of $50,000 right now. Ready to take profit if I need to on this, and Tesla here getting that nice little burst of momentum coming in at 323, 324. I do still have the $300 calls, which I'm going to be rolling out soon. I don't know how far I can go out with those on Tesla, but I do need to unlock a little bit of that capital gain to boost some of those returns further. So All right, everyone. So that's it. That's all going to be for today. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you all. I'm going to be sending out some alerts and updates in the Discord for the next hour or so. Yeah, if you have any questions, message me on Discord. I answer to everyone, as many people as I possibly can, about their questions regarding options, fundamentals, technicals, investing, swing trading, MoneyVest Index, everything. We have a pretty engaged discussion every day in the Discord. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you all. And again, happy investing, happy trading. I'll see you all in the next